In this thread, Monster Origin Story. Thousands of years ago, there was a civilization that mastered the art of sailing and maritime trade. To this day, legends about their vast wealth are still told. This empire's power and riches grew so great that they drew the attention of a mighty demon lord, who demands that people of the empire worshipped him and swore him to their loyalty. In their hubris, the people of the empire not only refused, but mocked the demon lord relentlessly as well. In retribution for their mockery, he cursed all denizens of this empire and their descendants by transforming them into savage beasts. They were twisted into hulking monstrosities, with the head of bulls, their minds stunned to the point of being not quite animal yet, not quite human. As quickly as it rose, their empire crumbled, and all that remains of it now are the ruins and the monstrosities that once called themselves its citizens. The beasts dwell in all sorts of abandoned locations, crumbling castles, ghost cities, forgotten crypts. All such places attract their presence. The Minotaurs, as they are known now, do not remember who their cursed ancestors were, but as part of the Demon Lord's curse, they are haunted by fragments of their memory. All Minotaurs remember small tidbits of how the people of their empire lived, yet they do know why they carried these memories. Minotaurs are obsessed with chasing these phantom memories. They hoard gold and jewels, not for their value, but for the memories they evoke. They desperately want to remember, but they do not know what it is they are trying to remember. This drives them to bouts of violent madness. They will rampage through the wild and whatever settlements they run into, enraged by a curse they can never understand. They remember what trading is like, and remember it being important, but struggle with making sense of how it's supposed to work. How about you guys, TG? How did some of your settings monsters come into being?
I really like that. I think that's a solid
Yeah.
introduction. I feel like I would much rather them be magpies.
Yeah.
I think magpies would have been a better option because I feel like
But magpies, I was going to say magpies aren't scary, but
they kind of decks magpies. But I do like covids. I like, or not covid. You know what I'm trying. You know the crows, ravens, magpies. You know that family of birds.
Yes.
I think, as far as birds go, I think they're.
The dragons built massive factories wherein they produced beasts of war to unleash on their enemies, humans and orcs, their servant races. Eventually witnessed the dragons turning on each other and descending into civil war. While one side employed their loyal human and orc legion, the other side created monsters to fight for them. Monsters were designed to efficiently kill humanoids. They were beasts with acid for blood which stalked the night, and hardy brutes with razor-sharp claws, capable of slashing through any armour. The dragons who were using monsters were eventually defeated, and sealed away, for dragons hate the idea of killing their own kind. But only one other dragon survived, bound to this temple and unable to move due to his injury. The factories in the south, however, still produce horrific monsters that are bred for the sole purpose of slaughtering as many humans and orcs as possible, without mercy. Every year a force of them swarms out and sows destruction throughout the lands.
Oh, that sounds...
I quite like that.
I love the idea of like a great hunt, maybe like a yearly, or
like a purge.
like a decade, like once every decade there's like a monsters ravage through, and every 10 years, like, you know, the human empires have to try and build up their power to try and defend that. I also love the whole dragon dynamic, because I do feel like dragons, the idea of them work, like, okay, I couldn't see them working with other dragons at all, because they're too self-proud
and they're all too literally hot-headed.
And I do actually really agree with that idea. It's like, well, I could never kill one because, you know, we're the masters of all. You know, we're essentially gods. Let's say, like, you know, that's the way I think they would perceive themselves. And and it's very much like, you know, like the Greeks, Olympians, like, you know, casting the Titans away and locking them in place. Yeah, I really like that. I think that's a pretty solid. I think you could work with that. I think that's that's good. I like it.
Vampires came from a noble dynasty that attained eternal life by striking a pact with a powerful demon. As payment, they must sacrifice the life force of mortals to him by consuming their blood, and create new vampires to do the same. The more blood a vampire sacrifices to this demon, the more powers he bestows upon them. Werebeasts are human that were cursed to become the vessel for powerful eldritch spirits, who use them to fight on their behalf, defend their sacred sites, and to punish mortals that have angered them. The werewolf spirit is one of the strongest, and ever since the domestication of wolves and dogs, it has dedicated itself into making us suffer for what it perceives to be an unforgivable slight.
I'm not into the whole vampires v
Neither am I.
werewolves. I feel like it's overdone. But I do I do feel like that is the good basic default to go for vampires, making that.
Talking about vampires, is anybody
yeah.
watching that Midnight Mass?
No, we haven't finished it yet.
So
but
don't tell us. But it's very good.
It's actually good.
I really like it.
I love the mixture with Christianity in with it. I feel like it works so well. I remember, this was years ago, I was leading some like Muslims like during the Crusades, like, you know, the first time. They're like, they hear all these whispers about Christians, and it's like, oh yeah, they consume the body of their god.
Yeah,
you know, and
they're
all
cannibals.
this. Yeah, because like, you know, I take the blood, take the wine and the bread, and it is an interesting way of thinking about it.
I remember hearing about like the vampires of Damascus.
They're really unusual, and
stuff, and the angels of Damascus and stuff.
It makes me question, why is it in all civilizations
Damascus.
we all have, almost every culture has its own version of vampires, and there is something about them that, why are they so a universal boogeyman of sorts that really makes me question.
Do you remember that movie we watched? It's called And They Were in Tel Aviv.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Vampires.
Yeah, it was vampires. Yeah,
That's slightly what Midnight Mass is like.
yeah, it's really good. Honestly,
It's very good.
I know you guys are going to go. It's like, oh, it's Netflix, so I don't want that. It's actually,
honestly, go watch it. And also, while you're there, watch Squid Game.
yeah, we're also haven't finished Squid Game yet. We've only got a wee bit into it. Look, we're not here to talk about TV shows, but look, I do love vampires, even though vampires have got the long end of it for the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Where they've just turned kind of gimpy. They've turned into Kimmer Bait.
That's
gimpy.
Twilight.
Even before Twilight.
Underworld. But I really liked Underworld.
What? You know, there was one thing I was reading a while back, and it was about, like, you know, women sexuality, and it was talking about one of the biggest, you know, like, in dress, or like one, like, women fantasize. Vampires are really high on it.
Since when?
Apparently they are. Apparently they've always been in, like, the top, like, 10 at
Really?
least. Yeah, apparently women are particularly into vampires. Why do you think? Is there anything?
It's not a thing that I look for. 75 million years ago, Earth had little to no landmass. There was a species similar to octopi. This species began to domesticate other ocean animals. 1 million years pass, and they have tools, buildings, energy/data conduits, and direct gene editing machines, all based on living organisms. This civilization eventually fights a war with aliens. Who won isn't important. What matters is that the aliens fucked with the DNA of the octopus technology, and something happened to Earth that caused it to have more land. Those corrupted flesh machines, tools, and vehicles have gone through 74 million years of evolution and bore witness to the countless nuclear wars of past civilization. They've also been tinkered with by plenty of these civilizations. As a result, these monsters infest the oceans, the skies, the land, and underground.
I mean, all I'm saying is, I've already seen the movie. I've seen fucking Alien, you know, that new remake one.
Yeah.
That's all I'm feeling from this one.
Yeah, that's
Although
what I'm
I
feeling
do like it, but the only thing that gets me is, see, I'm really fascinated with aliens, and one of the questions I always like to talk to people is, if aliens exist and the only criteria you need is they need to be able to have travelled from their planet and get to Earth, I don't think living underwater is possible.
No.
It needs to be a land-based animal.
Yeah.
And the reason why
And what would they actually look like? Like, do they need to breathe?
Well,
They'll need some form of communication.
Well, this is where I'll get to it, but the main reason why I don't believe they could be underwater is because they need fire for combustion, and as far as we know, like, you know, it is the easiest and the most, you know, in the rest of the galaxy, as far as we're aware, combustion is the best for engines and, you know, to get all that stuff moving. The big criteria, I think, for aliens is they need to be a pack animal. They need to be able to work together.
Yeah.
After they're a pack animal, they need to be able to communicate and preserve that communication. So they need to have some form of writing style or some form of way of storing information that past people have learned.
Yeah.
You know, so they can build up on their wealth of knowledge. After that, they also need to be tool users of sorts, because they're not going to be born with jets or anti-gravity or whatever. So they don't need hands per se, but maybe octopus would be a good one with tentacles.
They don't need hands, and they don't really need eyes, because if you look at the sense of bats and stuff like that, and whales, they use sonar and stuff like that.
They can get around without
use
eyes.
Other sort
they
of
could
things.
use something else other than eyes.
Yeah.
But they do need some form of sense to be able to know where stuff is, and they also do need tool use. It doesn't need to be hands per se, but it does need to be the
some
ability.
sort of appendages that to be able to do stuff.
Yeah, to be able to use tools
they have to have
to create.
They have to have obviously form a sense of breeding.
Oh yeah, they need to be even if they're just like bacteria and they just split apart. Yeah. It does need to have some form of sex or some form of reproduction.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. I'm interested by it, and I always like the idea of aliens because the problem is you need to remember all animals on Earth are kind of shaped the same way. Mm-hmm. We've all got our head at the front. We've all got kind of like fins or arms, and then
mostly have a torso.
Mostly have like the spines in the same place. The sex organs are all in the same place. Mm-hmm. So if you turn that on its head and you try to make an alien. So you can't really go on anything from like whenever you watch a TV show like say like an old Star Trek one where they're all aliens are all humanoid in shape and they all walk upright.
Yeah,
it's so unusual to think about because
look at how many species there are on Earth,
but they all
there's only us and apes who walk upright.
And there's a few other, I think, I can't remember, but bipedalism doesn't. But then again, I think we got like the reason. Like, this video's not about... I'm going to ramble on for too long. Tell us what you think about aliens, what you believe that they could look like, and the only criteria is they need to be able to get off their planet and came to our planet, so they can't be moss on a rock or some shit. That doesn't count, or it can't be bacteria.
In water.
It needs to be a higher sentient life form that can leave their planet and get to ours. That's the only criteria. I want to know about this, and I would love to do a video on it.
Yes. Right, you slimy gets. As you know, we got all the gobble slaves hard at work keeping the printers tickety-boo. Some of them are even getting a bit sex-deprived and start making naughty models of their own. Ooh. But at the minute, we only paying them in bottles of water. But if you buy models from us, we'll be able to pay them 1 gold piece a week. That's proper good wages for gobbles of gat. But if big titty goblins aren't what you want, we got it all. We got dwarves, elves, illifids, demons, kobolds, all that, and even some of them ugly humies. But you can only get it on that neckbeardia.co something. I'll get one of the goblins to do it. They're more tech savvy than me. Also, we got more than just models. We got a lot of them subclasses and pre-made adventures too. Proper good that. We play it down Thursday night down the local tavern. We get a pint of grog and we sit down and play it. Big Morgie last week played as that crackhead monk, and he was actually quite good at it, seeing as he's not right in the head ever since the barmaid whacked him for smacking his tits. But yeah, go over and check it out. That's all me. That's me, darling. See you back. Bye! Communities of ape folk who once dominated the land grow recluse and insular, less and less trusting of the other humanoid races and their ways. The most isolated of these communities settle in the furthest, deepest swamps, mirrored in stagnant, magical runoff from gem deposit.
The English? The little Anglos.
Yeah, a lot of inbreeding too. Yes!
Yeah, little England.
Develop frightening growths with tendencies to regenerate in all sorts of knotted and twisted ways, can accumulate plants and animal matter into themselves, are no longer recognised by their own kind, as they wander into the wilderness picking up stray organisms like a tumbleweed, occasionally budding off new life. And that's how you get trolls.
That's actually good.
I really like that.
I think that's a cool one. Yeah. I love, you know what I love? I love families of species branching out and how you get them.
Yeah, and how you can see them forming.
Yeah, and that's
in different
why,
ways, and they're completely non-recognisable to the originals.
To me, that's why whenever I think of like goblins and orcs, I just call them greenskins because I consider them
they're all from the same family.
Yeah, I just consider them.
It's like dogs.
Yeah, they are. They're just different.
Like, even though dogs are all the same, how the fuck is a Great Dane and a Chihuahua related?
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's a lot of genetic diversity, and it makes sense because, you know, orcs and greenskins in general die pretty quickly, but they reproduce very quickly as well, so that would create more space for a much quicker form of hyper-evolution, maybe.
Yeah,
because
they can produce so many. They're like rats in that.
Well, almost like bacteria. You know the way bacteria, like, you know, changes so quickly, we could argue there'd be a similar thing.
Yeah.
You know? It's interesting, though. I love that type of shit. Look, guys, I'm really into biology. Don't hunt me down, alright?
Minotaurs, goatmen, werewolves, etc. are all intelligent humans. Goatmen were genocided a millennium ago during the Great Eating. where many cattlemen were cannibalized by famished regulars. Many Minotaurs migrated to the land of the Not Elves, not Arcadia, in search of refuge. The not Greek/Roman Not Elves showed their hospitality by taking them in as shadow slaves. In present times, the Minotaurs have set up their own state and are slowly annexing Not Arcadia with their superior tactics and support from other nations. Turns out enslaving everybody will make you a lot of enemy. The werewolves are the only allies of the Not Elves, but they're considering changing their alliances.
You know, that's one thing I feel like whenever it comes to world building, I always tend to just not bother thinking about the ancient wars of the past and the bad blood and all that type of stuff because I think it gets too messy. I do love thinking about this sort of stuff, but I feel like for a gameplay standpoint, you know, this sort of stuff deserves a book on its own.
Yeah.
And I feel like adding that into like a tabletop role-playing aspect, it's like you give your players a big huge handbook of background lore and it's like, oh mate, he's gonna read that shit. But I do love it being there and I love to see elements of it at play.
Yeah.
Even then, like, you know, let's be serious, when it came to like, you know, way back, you knew you would hate the people over the hill because they'd slighted your family ages ago. So, like, you know, and that's one thing I feel like it's very hard to represent because a lot of people would automatically assume that is like a form of xenophobia. Yeah. Almost people are very quick to jump the gun, even though people in the past would hate, we live in this town, but see the people that live in that next town over just 2 miles away.
The devil, fuck them.
They are the worst of the worst. Yeah. And like, you know, anyone that lives further than 10 miles away, it's like, what? Who? What are you on about? Never heard of these people. And that's the way I kind of view it, or that's the way I interpret it. Yeah. But what are you guys' like thoughts or opinions on that sort of matter?
I got something, though it's pretty unpolished. In ancient times, a proud and mighty race of Fae banded together in an attempt to conquer the lands of their neighbouring courts. These Fae, able to quickly recover from almost any wound they suffered, made short work of the others' individual armies at first, but eventually they teamed together and defeated them. As punishment for their attack, the Fae who started the conflict were twisted into horde-looking monsters and banished to the human world. At first, the other courts also wanted to take their regeneration away, but when they found out it had side effects of making them constantly hungry, they gave it back with twice its power. Defeated, exiled and famished, the banished Fae turned on each other in a bloody conflict that led to the dissolution of their short-lived alliance. Now they dwell in isolated forests and mountains, alone or in small familial groups, constantly hunting and foraging for food to sate their bottomless hunger. Iron, highly pure iron, well worked and of excellent quality, is the only thing that bypasses their regeneration, as it disrupts the Fae magic that bestowed it to them in the first place. Humans call them trolls, and trolls have little to no regard for humans. They view us as prey, pests, or sometimes even less than that. They're not actively malicious, but do not care how their actions affect us. Although they've fallen far from their original glory, trolls are still just as intelligent as humans, and are capable of crafting tools and working together if need be. For obvious reasons, they prefer to use copper over iron. Over the course of generations, they've lost much of their original magic power, but every now and again a troll is born who can tap into the same mystical energies as their ancestors. These are revered by the other trolls, and have an easy time rallying the other trolls under their leadership.
Very good. Yeah, very good. I love that. I
like them all. I just like hearing stories about
how they came to be.
I like how other people take their twists on it.
Yeah, normally, like, you know, I'm very sick of, these elves, but these elves are different because their ears are slightly this way. Or,
their
you know,
ears go left.
I feel it's very shoehorned in. I feel like elves should just be elves at this point. Same like dwarves are just dwarves. Yeah. But I feel like when it comes to like more evil creatures, like, you know, like everyone goes back on the whole Tolkien thing, was like, they were corrupted elves, they sided with the evil side, and for them doing this they've been punished with this curse or whatever. And I do love the curse idea, but I also love the evolution as well. And I love the idea of them splintering off in different factions and groups. I feel like one of the ones I actually like, I know it's World of Warcraft and a lot of people are fuck World of Warcraft, but I do like the way the trolls work in World of Warcraft, how they were corrupted elves again. I don't know, I'm just into that shit.
Yeah.
But also with trolls, you can do anything with them.
Yeah.
You can make them massive, huge, rumbling, like, ogres, or you can make them, like, gnomes almost.
Yeah.
Or, they'll just, like, just be dickheads and steal your socks.
Yeah.
I feel like trolls can be very universal.
But let us know down below how you have integrated monsters into your setting. Like, what's their backstory? Have you created one?
Yeah.
Or what ones do you go by? Like, do you go by the Tolkien?
Yeah, you're more of a traditional sense.
Yeah, more traditional. Let us know down below. And while you're down there, check out the links to the models and the subclasses. It really helps us out. Hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time we post a video. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!